Hey guys, welcome to another guy's garage. We're back on maintenance on the old Silverado 2500 HD today. We've got a battery and a new air cleaner. It's a 2020, battery's 5 years old. I'm starting to hear some slow starts, meaning you can really hear the cranking of the starter. All indications that the battery is starting to go. It's only 5 years old, but 5 years seems to be the age of the battery when they start to crap out. So let's get this one replaced before it gives us a problem. And while we're in here, let's go ahead and change this air cleaner. As you can see, GM did not do us any favors with the placement of this battery. It's buried back by the firewall in front of the passenger compartment. The truck's high, as you guys know, so I'll have to get my stool. Not only is it buried in the corner, but there's a bracket back here that has to be removed. And this whole box needs to come off and get out of the way so we can get the battery out of here. All right, guys, we're gonna start off by taking the bracket off, and then we're gonna move to the ground on the battery terminal. So let's first get this bracket off, and it's on there forever, apparently. Got the auto parts store said this is about a 45-minute job. And I trust them because they do this all the time. In fact, if I'd have left it there, they'd have done it for free. Yeah, maybe I should have just done that. Why am I doing this? Oh, too late now. I'm home. Hardware. Oh, here's my horns. They're really wimpy. All right, I'm going to find a good spot to put the hardware. That's not good. I'm going to put it right here in the cowl. You guys remember, it's right here in the cowl. Oh, of course. Let's put it right under. Let's put it right under this. Oh, in case I didn't tell you, you're going to need a 13 millimeter for this job. And these are the same, which is always good because now I don't have to worry about where they go. All right, next I'm going to take the ground off the battery terminal here. And that I'm going to need an extension. And that is, what am I using here? Oh, a 10. It's the everything socket. Unlike the 9, which is the nothing socket. But it's 10. Go figure. Loosen this up. And pull the negative off the battery terminal. Get it out of the way. This is the part where everything in my truck goes dead. I wonder if they're, you know what? Let me look in the book real quick and make sure that there isn't some kind of something I need to do before I pull this off. That's something that's worth checking. I had a 98 one time that I pulled the battery terminal off and I couldn't play the radio. I had to download a code because the dealer had to unlock it because it went into safety mode because they thought it was being stolen. Now granted, thanks to the internet, I was able to find the code and it wasn't a problem, but let's make sure there's not something funky here that I need to do before we take this off. All right, nothing specific in here on what to do as far as replacing the battery, but there are some good tips in here, like make sure your battery charger is compatible with an AGM type battery. This is an AGM type battery, and I just learned that AGM stands for absorbed glass mat. Anyways, talks about how to connect the cables, disconnect the cables. It also says for long-term storage, disconnect the negative cable. I know my dad was a mechanic, and I will tell you that he swore up and down that we always took the positive off. I don't know if he was taught that or that's just something that he felt was the right thing to do, but everything since has told me that the negative is the one that comes off. So we're taking the negative off first, which is the right move. Again, nothing in the book here as far as replacing the battery, so fingers crossed we don't mess something up, but let's take that negative cable off the post and let's get this battery changed. Something else I also made sure I did was make sure that the doors were unlocked, because when I disconnect this, I'm probably not going to be able to unlock and lock the doors. Although there's a backup keyhole. And also, we're expecting rain. Just in case something happens and I can't get this back together or I fry something, I'm making sure that my windows are up, because if this battery doesn't go back in place and I can't get it or I short something out, those windows are down and I will be screwed. Let's get this negative off. Here we go. The negative is now off. Prognosis negative. Next, we got to get this off. All right, guys, I got you in here nice and tight for this. There are two clips. There's one here and there's one here. Push it on both these clips and it will expose the top of the bus bar. And there's something living in there, I think. And now with that out of the way, we can get to our positive battery hold down and we'll take that loose. And then this whole thing should come up together. I think there's one more clip down here holding it, and then you can see down in there, but there is another bolt that is holding the corner of this battery in. So we had the bar going across here, and now there's one also in this corner, so we'll have to take that off. So I guess the order of operation is we'll take this off, we'll get the positive loose, we'll be able to remove this whole bus bar, move it up over here out of the way, then we're going to take that last bolt loose. That will allow us to take the battery out, and then we'll be able to swap it, put it back together. Not so bad, knock on wood so far. Careful not to touch the wrench on anything. Take the positive loose here. You can already see the whole thing moving. Well, first things first, let's get this unplugged, because we know we need to do that. All right, you take this clip. This has a little retainer. There we go. Now you can get a better view. There's a clip right there that needs to be pried up. And basically moving this back gives you an opportunity to give it a little pry. And you can see right here, you can see my screwdriver right here is where it was catching. So get a better look at that. But yeah, just give a little pry and it'll come right off. All right, that's out of the way. We gotta remember to put that back on. And I got another screwdriver I'm gonna stick in here. There's a little tab. Now watch, I'm just gonna pry a little bit out to get that up. See how I did that? So now she's ready to come out. There we go. GMAC Delco. All right. I literally just need this kind of out of the way. And the good news is there are no handles on here. But what I say, we got one more that we need to take off. And it's that guy right down there. All right, I found myself needing a longer extension to get down in there. And again, we're back to that, was it 13 millimeter? Ooh, camera's hot. All right. Oh, it's a long one. I'm gonna set it up in the cowl with everything else I'm gonna lose. Now I should be able to wire this up, or I'll zip tie this over to there, just get it up out of the way so we can lift this battery out of here. Let's get this bracket out of here so you can see what it looks like. There it is. Oh, more stuff living in there. Great. Take this, put it around here. There, I just got that out of the way long enough that I can muscle this battery out here. All right. Oh, God, is it heavy? No handle. Look, there was a spot for a handle, but there is no handle. Good old Hayden going by. Hayden, you made the video, just so you know. All right. AGM batteries. All right. It's out. All right, time to muscle the new battery in. This one has handles, which is a help. There we go. Get the battery sitting in there. Now remember this bracket. Let's put this bracket back in. Get you in here nice and tight. Battery's got a little bit of slop here. All right, I feel like I'm in. I'm gonna put a little anti-seize because that bolt is pretty rusty. Just gonna throw a little anti-seize on this and make sure it doesn't get rustier. All right, I got a little anti-seize on it now. I'm gonna thread it through the hole, snug it down. Feel like it just needs to be snug. All right, get it snug down here. Oh, there we go. Much better. All right, a couple fingers. That's the way I do this when I don't know how tight to make something. Just take a couple fingers and that's probably tight enough. A reverse operation. Let's get a color, cut the zip tie so we can lay this back over. Before we do that, let's take the caps off the battery. Caps off the battery. I have some of this battery terminal cable protector. Let's go ahead and put some of this on the battery terminals just to keep them from corroding up. I think they'll be fine, but can't hurt. All right, I got my cable cutter. Let's go ahead and cut. What did I say? Cut here. And I can reuse that zip tie. Remember that trick? Depending on where I cut, because I didn't cut on this side, I cut on the other side. Check it out. That zip tie, if I cut the end off here, I can actually reuse it. I know, I saved like 3 cents, I heard. All right, now we got the bus bar. I think you can see it kind of going on. I'm gonna get it on the positive cable there. And it's already grabbed the battery, so it's on there. I'm gonna go ahead and snug it up with my 10mm here. All right, she's snug. And we can plug this back in. That's plugged back in. So that this isn't exposed, we can go ahead and put this cover back on. We can come back here. Let's put this negative back on. I didn't see a lot of sparks. Oh, I'm hearing noises over there. Sounds like things are showing power again. Let's go ahead and snug. That down. Negative's on. All right, let's put our hold down clamp back on, which was laying in the sun and is super hot. Ow! I'm also gonna anti-seize these guys because yeah, they're rusty. All right, I got these anti-seized up. Let's go ahead and put one. Let's put the rusty one back where the rusty one was, which is in here. And then, yeah, I'm wearing a lot of it. Like you always say, people use way too much of this stuff, and guilty. All right, I'm back to my 13mm. Oop. Let's tighten this guy up here. So convenient. Snug. Snug. She ain't going nowhere. All right, guys, we'll do a quick scan, make sure we got all of our tools. I don't have anything laying up here, which is where I typically like to set stuff. Next, we're going to change the air cleaner, so that's going to come right back out. I got all the tools from the cow. Let's go in and let's make sure this thing starts. Whew, it's hot. Do we have power? That's step number one. All right, we have power. Things are lighting up. Let's go ahead. Engage things. Hood's open. Shows over 14 volts. Uh-oh. So I know that my fuel is not low. So we'll have to figure out why that is. It might just take a minute for that gauge to read, but I know I had gas when I started this. So we'll have to see if that resets. All right, so my gauge was showing that my fuel was empty. I shut the truck off, and now I'm gonna start it back up. Boy, it sounds so much better when it's starting. Let's see if that fuel gauge recalibrates itself here. Nope. It's still showing, it's a little higher than before, but it is still showing empty, and I can tell you that there was fuel in the gas tank. Let's give it a minute and see if it comes back around. All right, you guys don't know this, but that is slowly coming around. It's got to be a voltage thing with the sending unit, because it was on E, now it's on 1/4, and I can tell you it had 3/4 of fuel in it when we started. So I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to let it reset itself. I'm reading 14 volts. Everything's charging. Battery's hooked up. I got power again. I'm curious if I hit my driver 1 settings. Nope, that all got reset. But my radio is still, my presets didn't erase. It's still on my phone. Looks like there must have been some kind of current save stored in the system that kept it from blacking out. All right, enough about this. Let's go ahead and change the air filter and we'll worry about this later. Next, we're gonna change the air cleaner. It's been about 30,000 miles since my last air cleaner change, so it's due. So I got this STP. This is what AutoZone had. There are two versions. There's one for the regular 6.6. Then there's a version for the 6.6 that has the off-road package. Really, the off-road package, I learned this the last time, the only difference is the off-road package has this extra piece of media on the top, but otherwise it's the same minus this. And you'll see, because the last time I bought it, they didn't have the off-road compatible one, so I just got a regular one and it does not have this piece. But this should be the easier, the two things we're doing. So let me throw it back in here and let's get this air box off. All right, I got myself a socket wrench with an 8mm socket on it. It'll be easier than using a Phillips head, but I absolutely could use a Phillips head. There's a bunch of little fasteners around the outside of this. We just got to get them taken off. These are those plastic screws that GM likes to use everywhere. So we'll just start a collection of these, put them in the cowl. There's a bunch. I don't know why there's so many, but there are a bunch. A clip with a hinge on it would have been great. There's a bunch. Oh, I got one more. There's a bunch. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. Seems a little excessive, but that's how they designed it. This should come right off. And there you have it. One air cleaner. This is the clean side. This is the dirty side. Actually isn't too bad, but I am going to go ahead and vacuum this out and clean this out real quick, just because there is some debris in here, and I'll give it every shot to be cleaner. But you can see it's not so bad. So. All right. Here's the new one. Oops. It's got a shape to it, so it does only go on one way. And the media side, again, this is for the off-road to catch the mud and water that might come in here, but it goes in like so. It's got a little bit of an arc to it, which is kind of weird. I don't know if that's a... I'm also going to wipe off this. Make sure there's nothing. All right, I'm going to put this... in here like so. Now I understand the purpose of all the extra fasteners. Put this back on. Now we put the 800,000 fasteners back in. I'll get them all started, and then I'll give them a final tightening after they're all in. All right, installed. All right, my fuel gauge is still reading down around a quarter. I'll have to keep an eye on that because it was 3/4 full. More importantly, what's the other thing I do here? You guys know I like to write this stuff down in my owner's manual. I'm gonna write down that I did a battery at 55,816, and we also did engine air filter. Oh, you can see the fuel gauge is still going up. Must just need some runtime. Brake pad life, air filter. It says 40%. We're gonna go ahead and reset that 100% because we just changed it. And all I did was push this button and held it in. All right, guys, as always, I hope you got something out of this video. You saw I changed the battery. You saw I changed the air filter. My previous video, you saw how I changed oil. I think maintenance for a while is done on this thing. As always, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.